Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Today's the big day. Powell will be speaking later. We also have the Fed interest rate decision. The stocks are looking good across the board today. The market is up around 1% last time I checked. China stocks are blasting through the roof. It's set to be a pretty good day, though. We have stocks like Alibaba up 20% to start off. Looking through my watch list, Tom, DraftKings is in the green by 4%, Fiverr, AI, Logitech, it's looking to be a really good day.
Yeah, it is. Even some safer, slower movers like Starbucks are up 6%. I mean, it's a really good day so far, Mike. I'm glad to see all this nice movement again. It looks like we got a nice continuation to the upside finally. It's been a long time since we've had a nice 2-day move like this, at least a couple weeks, but hopefully we see some nice continuation, Mike. It's been a long time for these growth stocks, especially the ones like DraftKings, Roblox, Unity, stocks like that they've just been so beaten down. I can't believe how low they are. But like you mentioned, Mike, those China plays are particularly doing very, very well. BABA's up almost 20%. We have NEO up 18%. So this is insane to see, Mike. And there's some really crazy news coming out of China this morning. And they came out and said that they actually signal support for shares, Mike. And this is such good news. They issued a lot of assurance today. And I know you read this article a little bit more, but in the end, these China stocks are blasting up. Like they said in pre-market, BABA jumped 20%. JD 24%, and PDD more than 35% at the high, which is insane. We got to check out PDD. Yeah, and they're still running, so up 37% now. Yeah, they're blasting.
So Tom, I have a question. Check this out. If we look at BABA really quickly, and if we look at a 3-year daily chart, BABA stock was at $320 basically in October of 2020. It mainly fell from 320 down to 92 or 80 or whatever you want to call it because of fears of delisting, increased tensions between the U.S. and China, and just, investors were scared because they didn't know what was going to happen between the situation between China and the USA. So my question, and especially delisting news. So my question now is, if China said, all right, yeah, we're going to work with the U.S., we're going to, do this or that or whatever, we're going to make sure our shares stay listed, does that mean that BABA and all these other stocks should be back at, let's say, 300 or 280 or 250? It's you know what I mean? Everyone was scared for this one reason, and that's why the stocks were selling off, and now it seems like China's hey, we're going to make sure this doesn't happen. So, to me, I think that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's big for these China plays. And I know some people are still going to be scared of the China stocks. And, personally, I'm still a little bit scared myself. So looking at the plays, though, Mike, I mean, if we look at fundamentals on BABA, like we've been looking at for the past couple of months, they're honestly not that bad. And they've still been growing, even though their stock's been going down. So I'm glad to see that. And in the end, I feel like they'll still be a pretty good longer term investment. You always do have that slight worry of the delistment, of course, going on. But like you mentioned, Mike, this article this morning was awesome to see. I mean, it says right here, regulators from both countries are progressing towards a cooperation plan on U.S. listed Chinese stocks. So that's good to see that we're both working together on it. The article initially makes it seem kind of like, China signals support for the shares, but it does say that both countries are progressing towards cooperation. So that makes me have renewed confidence, Mike. And I'm not sure that these will be, flying up, we're probably not going to blast straight up from, a $90 back up to $200 or $300 right away. But I could definitely see us moving up pretty well over the next 6 months, as long as these tensions stay away and as long as China doesn't help Russia with something. I know that was a pretty big deal earlier in the week too.
Yep, true that. All right, so we have Sean saying Happy Powell Day. Let's go. Yeah, Tom. So looking at the SPY so far, it's not bad. It's up 1%. It's holding up pretty well. What are the most important levels to watch for the rest of the day?
Yeah, we actually got all the way up to around that 432 resistance this morning in pre-market. We almost double top there. So as the market goes on, I'm seeing some good intraday support here, right around 430 even as well. So looks like we are bouncing there, but I would say 432 is the main level to look at to the upside. If we start falling to the downside, I would definitely eye up 427. There was even a nice extension in pre-market touching 427, and we've had tons of bounces there the past couple of weeks. So I think it's a pretty good range, Mike, 432 and 427. If we break it either way, we might see some nice action, at least momentarily. And with Powell speaking, I would not be surprised if the market kept rallying. You know, it looks like we're definitely doing well ahead of him speaking, but you know, sometimes he does pull the market down, sometimes he makes the market rally. So it's going to be a tough one, Mike. You know, I know that a lot of people perceive these interest rates in different ways, and I really hope that the market likes this type of increase. And I will say, hopefully they like that the Russia situation has slowed down the pace of the rates rising, because like we talked about, Mike, they're expecting a 0.25% interest rate hike, and they were expecting like a 0.5% rate hike. So I'm glad to see that they lowered those expectations with all the Russia stuff going on.
For sure. All right, so looking at some of the hottest stocks this morning, of course we have all the China stocks, but some other ones that are looking pretty decent. We have Chewy moving up in a pretty good way. I don't know if you saw that one, but that's definitely popping up, and it's been a while since this one ran up. Some other ones, it looks like AI is doing decent. It's pretty good. AI is actually looking pretty good.
Yeah, it is. It's breaking out in a pretty big way this morning, right above that $18 area, and that was a pretty big resistance this morning, and even later in the earlier in the week, I should say. So now that we're breaking 18, it doesn't look bad. And look at AI in the daily chart, Mike. It got beaten down so bad, it just kept going lower and lower. So this better be the bottom for AI. I mean, it's been a long time since we went on a true uptrend. You know, of course, you'll have like 1 or 2 green days mixed in. So I can't wait maybe for the next couple of weeks to see how some of these growth plays play out, because like I said, I mean, it seems like some are they've just been falling down so much that we need to have a nice bottom forming. And I'm glad to see that Zoom's holding up above $100 again.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome, Tom. It's been a while since we saw like a real uptrend on Zoom, and I've been waiting very patiently for it, and I'm hoping that, you know, Powell can kind of calm everyone down today. You know, like normally he makes the market go up. Of course, that doesn't mean that every single time he speaks the market will rise, but still, like, it's been a while, especially for companies like Zoom.
Yeah, poor Zoom. They've just been beaten down so bad. We need Big Daddy to come in clutch. I mean, it's been a long time since we've had a nice uptrend, so we definitely need it, especially out of the growth sector, Mike. Like, to be honest, like, if the SPY keeps flying up, you know, great. But I really want to see some of these. I really want to see some of these lower price growth stocks moving. Like we said, the China plays are doing very well today. So maybe we'll start to see some of these EV companies do better. Or like you said, Chewy. We even have like Snapchat, Matterport, stocks like that are just kind of like lagging around their opening price here. So maybe we'll get a nice move up later in the day. But yeah, I mean, leading the watch list today, Mike, is just a bunch of these China plays. Specifically, the China EV plays. I mean, LI is up 22%. This is an insane move to the upside. And then we had XPEV up 16% as well. It looks like BABA is pulling back a little bit at market open, but man, I mean, what were they up at the high there? Almost 20%? That was insane.
Yeah, true that. I saw you looking at like JP Morgan a couple minutes ago. Are you eyeing that one for a play?
Yeah, you know, I'm not really eyeing it too much for a play right now, because look at the big gap it had this morning. But I will say the move up is looking awesome, Mike. Like over the past few days, I've been kind of watching them because they've been consolidating a lot down here at the bottom. And if the market perceives what Powell is going to be saying later in a positive way, I think JP Morgan might start to fly back up, because they've been beaten down a lot. They did also, Mike, just break that 135 resistance. So that's nice to see, but they did kind of have a little bit of a fake out there. They pulled right back. So we'll have to just eye up what happens later, because the interest rates are huge for banks. So that's going to be a big deal. Hopefully they perceive it in a nice way. And it looks like right now they're definitely anticipating a nice move. So I'm glad to see that the stock's running. And honestly, Mike, the IV is even dipping down, which I would have almost expected it to start going up. But, you know, as we know, sometimes when stocks go up, IV falls. But I was just thinking ahead of the Powell event, we'd see it start to move up a little bit. Maybe we're seeing it move up out of the SPY, but nope, even the SPY is pulling back a little.
Huh. I think that's actually a good sign, though. Like, I'm happy that the market is pricing in less volatility because it's been crazy lately.
Yeah,
So,
thank God we're not pricing in what VXX was showing us yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, that was an insane event, Mike. And that video you made in the middle of the day yesterday covered it in a very good way. So if you guys want to go to the Stocked Up YouTube channel and then search up the intraday video Mike made about VXX yesterday, it's really informative. And I mean, man, like the way VXX moved, like you said in the title, Mike, it's almost like a once in a lifetime event here.
Like, the way VXX was moving at open yesterday, I'm like, is the market about to fall 10% today? And I was like, what? Because it's like you just never see anything like that. But I'm glad it was just, a fluke event, because that would have been terrible, But, oh, gosh. Crazy stuff.
It would have been awful. This stock was insane, and now I can't believe we're already this low again, Mike. Like, we're already back down to $28 from highs of $41 yesterday. I can't believe the volatility we're seeing, but who knows? Maybe Powell will speak and the market will start tanking down. I have heard some bad outlooks from some analysts on different articles and stuff like that. So we'll have to see what happens, but hopefully the market just keeps holding steady, Mike, and going up. It's definitely setting up as a good day so far. We even had, well, I should say earlier in the morning, we had stocks like Apple gapping up. It looks like at market open though, Mike, like Apple gave a lot of its gains back. Same thing. Well, actually Microsoft started coming back up. So pretty crazy to see Apple pull back like that. Even like Tesla pulled back a little bit, which is interesting.
Cool. Even Intel's moving in a pretty good way. I know you cover this one sometimes, but I know it's not as popular as like AMD or NVIDIA, but I figured I'd pull it up for a second because we are getting pretty close to that like $46 resistance level. That has been a previous support level, but also resistance, like I said, like even from this morning.
Yeah, from this morning and a couple days ago, there's been a few bounces around 46, so I'll definitely be eyeing that up. And Mike, a lot of stocks are kind of in a nice range like Intel is today. Intel's in a nice range between 45 and 46. We kind of have Disney stuck within a range between like 135 and 136.30 up there. There's a few other stocks this morning, kind of like Microsoft, that's also just kind of stuck. It's trying to break out back up towards $300, but they're all just kind of stuck at that upper resistance. So maybe we will see a nice move back up. I will say, Mike, a lot of these stocks are setting up pretty bullish in my opinion. Like, I love this setup on Microsoft. It's looking pretty good, especially if we start to see that breakout soon. And I really like the Disney setup, Mike. Like, look at Disney. It's actually about to break that pre-market high right here if it keeps going.
Yeah, there we go. Disney's looking good. Square's looking good. And Tom, you already know what I'm about to say. It's not DraftKings, but Zoom.
Oh.
Zoom's looking really good.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, Zoom's about to, or they are breaking that pre-market high, which is nice. They're moving up above 102. They're getting a lot of momentum. So this is one of my favorite setups this morning, Mike. I will say I like this one, especially if you guys were eyeing it up for a quick breakout trade right here. I really hope it continues because this setup this morning is nice and there's a lot of renewed momentum out of these stocks, Mike. Like you said, Zoom, even like one that's been beaten down a lot is Palantir, Mike. And look at them. They're about to break that pre-market high right around $11.20, which is awesome to see as well.
Yeah, you know it. Right, let's see. I'm trying to do a couple quick scans to see some of the top plays today. Let's see. So Sam just said that the Starbucks founder, Schultz, is coming back to Starbucks to replace Kevin Johnson. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't read the article fully this morning. I don't know if that's just a temporary thing, but I did see that headline.
Yeah, I did not even see that, Mike, but I will say though, I did see that Starbucks was up a lot this morning. So that must have been the main reason why. Whenever the market opened and I saw a ton of stocks up like 5% plus, I thought maybe they were just going up in sympathy. But yeah, I mean, that's great to see that Schultz is coming back. I know he's been a pretty big name, but to be honest, Mike, and I really hope to see that he helps the stock back. I will say, if we look at SBUCs on the daily chart here, it's gotten pretty low. And, this has been a pretty good company for growth over the past few years. At least it's been very steady. So I hope to see that they continue to move, Mike. And I was really eyeing up a longer term play over the past couple of weeks. I might have to jump on that soon.
Yeah, it appears that Schultz is just coming back temporarily. In the CNBC article, it says that Starbucks hopes to find a permanent successor for Johnson, which was the previous CEO, by this fall. So it's that second bullet point. Yep, perfect. So yeah, good stuff there though. We have Sean saying check out BEKE Chinese real estate. Let's see, BEKE. This thing's up 50%, Tom, in a day.
Yeah, what is going on? I mean, we talk about China's plays, Mike. I mean, 50%. Wow. But I will say, even though it's up 50%, Mike, it still has a lot of room to go back. I mean, wow, this is a pretty crazy one. There's been a lot of volume coming in the past few days as well. I wonder if someone might have been anticipating this, Mike, because look at these candles on the volume. Like, this is insane. But I mean, either way, awesome move here, up 50%. I hope it continues. And, I know the Chinese real estate market, Mike, got destroyed with that Evergrande situation. So hopefully we see it start to recover.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. And then how are we doing with, like, BABA and stuff? Like, I know it opened a lot higher, but we are definitely seeing some of these China stocks react in a different way. For example, BABA's pulling back a little bit, where we're seeing BEKE, kind of just blast up. So what are you thinking with some of these larger cap Chinese stocks?
Yeah, I feel like that they'll do pretty good. I mean, I like BABA here at these levels. Intraday today, it's tough, Mike, because they just gapped up so much. Even with the pullback right now, they're still up 15%. So I could see this one maybe consolidating here today. I will say I like the support it's at. The level it's bouncing at, we bounced at the other day, right around $87.20. We bounced on that on March 11th. So looking at it, I mean, I like the setup, Mike. My whole point is that I don't think it'll be too good for an intraday play today. I hope it keeps popping back up. Maybe if you see it break the high of day, it could be a good stab. But I just think that with the way it's moved right now, it might pull back again. It's up 15%. I really do though think though, Mike, that news today that came out was awesome. China reassured U.S. investors that they'll keep their stocks listed, or at least try their hardest to. So that's good news. And, obviously that's been the main fears, I think, of everybody getting into these China stocks. So hopefully we'll start to see this nice uptrend. And honestly, I'm just waiting for that high of pre-market to get broken. But yeah, as far as intraday moves go, Mike, it's a tough one. It's up so much that I would almost have to expect some consolidation.
All right. And then check out Square really quickly. This one's actually looking pretty good to me. It's up 6.5% today, which is a lot. It's slowly going higher, and it's a stock that I own for the long term and that I really like for the long term. I believe it's at a great level still, and as long as Powell doesn't screw up the market, I think it'll be great.
Yeah, I think it will too. I mean, these growth stocks are really going on an uptrend, Mike. Like you said, Square's up 6.5%. This is having a really good day. We're almost back up to that 110 resistance. After that, we'll be running up to around like 112 or 114 again. So we'll have to see how it ends up moving. But I really love this intraday pop, Mike. We broke that pre-market high, which is awesome. And even like these other stocks like Disney are starting to finally break that pre-market level. So I'm glad to see these stocks continuing up today. And especially, Mike, just all these growth stocks that have been beaten down so bad. Like, I know you mentioned Zoom this morning, and they're starting to really break that pre-market high as well, even with Disney.
There we go. So, Tom, I'm looking at a couple different screeners really quickly, and it looks like NVIDIA and AMD are having a day.
Yeah, they are. They did pull back at market open. I will say, I was eyeing these stocks up a lot this morning. AMD pulled back, NVIDIA pulled back, but AMD is now breaking the high of day, which is awesome. So they're starting to really break, kind of like what we saw with Disney. They ran up towards that upper resistance, and they're finally starting to move above it, kind of like what we saw with Square as well. But yeah, NVIDIA is doing the same thing. Hopefully we see it continue. And if we look at these chip plays, Mike, on like a daily chart, I will say I've been liking the way they've been consolidating at support. NVIDIA has been bouncing a lot around that $210 area. That's been huge for them. And then AMD has an even more defined level. AMD has bounced multiple times right off of $100, or at least within just a few cents. So that's a big level. We know that $100 is big with the psychological level, as well as it's had multiple bounces here in the past. So maybe we'll start to see these chip stocks go back on the uptrend, Mike. And I will say, I know that we've talked about the chip stocks going down for the past few months, and we've been pretty spot on. They started pulling back in a big way, and AMD from high to low was down almost 40%. So that's a pretty big pullback out of such a large stock.
Oh, absolutely. That's giant. And then how's Tesla doing today? Like that one I saw is trending higher, and it appears to be back above that $800 resistance.
Yeah, it is. It's back up there. It's even moving above 820 right now, which is nice. So yeah, it's doing very well. It kind of held $8 right there, Mike. There were some candles that extended down to there, like right at market open. It got pretty close and then bounced right back up. Same thing in pre-market. There was a lot of these weird prints down there around 800, but I will say it's looking pretty bullish today, Mike. And I love this type of setup. It's like a nice staircase back to the upside, and we're seeing a lot of stocks with this type of setup, and they're all doing pretty well today so far. So hopefully Tesla continues, and I know it's been a long time with this one as well. And on the daily chart, I would love for Tesla to get back up above 900, Mike. I know that's been a really hard level to break lately.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. Some other stocks that are moving up. Check out Roblox really quickly. This one's up like 5.5%. It's looking pretty good. I think I saw Snow on the high too. Let me double check. Yeah, Snow is looking okay. DraftKings is in the green. It's pumping higher. We'd love to see that. Tom, DraftKings I think is safe to say our favorite stock. What levels do you have like coming for like the next, I don't know, just like what levels are you seeing?
Yeah, for today, I'm really eyeing up this $17 resistance. We've had a lot of bounces on DraftKings at $17 over the past couple of weeks, and especially like last week on Thursday and Friday, there was multiple bounces right here, and we're about to test that level like right now. We honestly just about touched it, so hopefully we see a nice breakout up through that. I think that would make for some very nice movement, and we're starting to break that pre-market high, so hopefully the momentum continues with DraftKings, but I'm waiting for them to break 17. Once they break that, my next main level to the upside is going to be up around $18. I have seen some bounces also around $17.50, so it does seem like around like every 50-cent mark, DraftKings has at least some type of movement, so keep that in mind. But the main thing I'm looking for, Mike, is a move back up towards $18. That was a big support and resistance before we finally broke it, so us getting back up to there would be pretty exponential today.
All right. All right. I'm just doing a couple different scans. Another one I wanted to look at was Shopify. We don't really talk about this one too much. Over the years, they've grown at a crazy pace. It's crazy to think that Shopify, back at like the start of like 2018, this stock was trading for $110 each. And then just a couple months ago, it was all the way up to like $1,700, and now it's back at like $585. Like, part of me wants to buy the dip on this one, but then another part of me like would rather just focus on like DraftKings, Zoom, Square, stuff like that. But I'll tell you, like, it's been on my watch list.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's a pretty big stock, Mike, and they deal in that e-commerce business, which is huge. I know that's a very good sector to be in, to say the least. We have Amazon in that sector, as well as so many other companies, even Chewy's in that sector. So looking at Shopify, Mike, I mean, you're right. That was an insane move from 2018 at $100 or something all the way up to $1,700. Like, that is a heck of a move. And this stock didn't split, believe it or not. I'm surprised they didn't split, Mike. That probably, or I personally, I would have been looking at a split there. So hopefully they go back up. I know it's been a long time since they've went back on the uptrend. And even if we look at the daily chart, Mike, like, they are starting to fall below some major levels here, especially over the past couple months. So it's a tough one, but I feel like they'll do pretty good, Mike. And we've been talking a lot about like China plays and stuff like that. At least they don't have to worry about getting delisted or anything like that, at least to my knowledge. So that's good to see there. They don't have any weird news to worry about like that. And they're in that e-commerce business, like I said. So looks pretty good. Another one that I've looked at, Mike, I know you mentioned Shopify. I've been looking at Spotify a lot too. I know this stock has also been getting destroyed, and it's kind of like a a similar move to the downside. Not exactly, but it's been beaten down also, and it has a very similar name to Shopify. But both of them are kind of on my radar here, Mike. I'm just waiting to pick up. Maybe I might get both of them, to be honest. Now that I'm looking at all the chart movement and everything like that. I will say though, Mike, between Spotify and Shopify, I do feel like that Shopify is in the better sector, in my opinion, though.
Yeah, I would agree. They're also they're also in a more dominant role in their industry. Like Shopify is kind of like the king of like e-commerce and stuff like that. Where Spotify, they do have some serious competition, and while they do have a good market share, they do have a lot of competition with like Apple Music, Pandora, and just like so many other streaming services. Like there's so many different music streaming services.
Yeah, there really is. Like you said, Apple Music and everything like that is huge too. I will say between a lot of people I know, a lot of people are using Spotify lately, which is cool to see. I'm glad that they're using it, and hopefully I continue to see Spotify stock move up. But going back to Apple today, Mike, since you brought it up, they gapped up this morning, and so far they're just not having the movement I don't think anyone's been expecting. They're just kind of pulling back, really stagnant this morning. Like we go look at stocks like Disney, for example. They're breaking that pre-market high. They're starting to really run to the upside in a nice way. And then we have stocks like Apple, just lagging behind, pulling back down a little bit. Microsoft is kind of the same way. It's just not getting that type of explosive movement that the growth stocks are having. Now, maybe that's because they're, slower moving companies in general, but still, they're just not setting up as well as I would have hoped to see.
Yep. All right. And then we have Sean saying, what's up with Hood stock? Tom, we have not looked at Robinhood in a while, but it is up 9.5% today. It had an amazing open. And while I'm not seeing any specific news related to Robinhood, it's just we're seeing all growth stocks in the green today. Whether you're looking at Robinhood or DraftKings or Upwork or Corsair or Palantir or Zoom or whatever stock you're looking at today, especially if it's a growth stock, it's in the green. So I think that's the main reason we are seeing Hood rise today. And then, Tom, I think you're muted.
Yeah, Hood rising is insane. It's 9%, and it was up 10% a few minutes ago, I think. But yeah, it's insane to see this one up this much, Mike. And looking at Hood on the daily chart, or even if we look at like a 180-day, 1 hour chart, look at this awesome support at $10. I mean, it cannot get any better than this, Mike. We bounced at $10 all the way back on January 28th. We bounced on it again on February 24th. And then we bounced on it, or just really close to it, yesterday in the morning. So looking at it, I mean, a lot of stocks are getting really close to some nice supports, and we're seeing nice moves off of them, especially out of the growth sector. So looking at Hood, Mike, we might finally start to see a nice uptick here. And another good thing is that I know it might not be the best news, Mike, but with all the volatility going on lately, it's going to be maybe big for options volatility. So maybe that'll help Robinhood over the next few months. I know we talked about that with their last earnings report. With all the craziness going on, they might, get some nice increased volatility numbers. And, whenever they report those types of numbers, Robinhood usually does pretty good on their outlook. So I'm really hoping that they can come out maybe with like a good report or something like that over the next couple months that shows some nice increased volatility out of the options market and even the crypto market, because that's obviously what Robinhood needs. But yeah, they're having one heck of a day, Mike, up 9%, and I really hope to see that volatility come in.
Yeah, I see what you mean, and I do agree with that. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're basically saying that, maybe if this volatile market sparks trading activity, that could be awesome for Robinhood's, revenue and profitability for this upcoming quarter.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah, so I would think it would, anytime you see the market move to the upside or the downside in a giant way, that normally increases trading activity, so I would expect that to happen, and I would expect them to have a good quarter, but, we'll see, we will see. Because I also know that some investors are kind of just quitting because stocks have been falling lately, but I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen both sides of the story lately. It's been tough, and I was kind of expecting their last report to do good, but they came in with just some negative numbers there. It wasn't the worst, it wasn't the best, but they definitely fell down on it. So wasn't the market didn't perceive it to be the best, and I can't wait to see that uptick because remember whenever before Robinhood IPO'd, Mike, remember we had all the GameStop and AMC stuff going on that really helped Robinhood. And then as soon as they IPO'd, they almost IPO'd at like the worst time possible, Mike. Like they really did, like as far as news and just stocks going down. So hopefully they just see some nice increased revenue. Obviously that trading activity will help. And I feel like the Russia situation might have been helping at least, like I said, the options market, Mike. I know that like the big investors, like you said, are probably just sitting stagnant, but I feel like it's created some nice volatility, like with the VIX and everything like that, at least.
All right. And then we have Head saying, when does Powell talk today? So Powell talks at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. However, the interest rate decision will be released at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So basically, 2 p.m. Eastern Time is when the show starts. So be ready, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Basically, the Fed say, hey, this is what we're doing with interest rates. This is what we're seeing with the economy, blah, blah, blah. And then Powell, 30 minutes later, he's going to take his press conference. He's going to, tell everyone what he's seeing, and people will probably ask him questions. So be on the lookout for that, but 2 p.m. is the time to watch. We have 11 saying DUO plus 83%, unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, it's a penny stock. We don't really trade penny stocks too much, but yeah, I mean, now it's almost at 100%.
Does this have something to do with the China plays, Mike?
I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it according to Thinkorswim News.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that would make some sense because this one started really exploding up this morning. But look at this. It's actually up 100%, Mike. I mean, that's nice to see. I will say, though, Mike, like as far as it being up, 100% is awesome. But, if you caught this yesterday, you might be going to jail for insider information because, man, I mean, whoever knew this is insane, But either way, I mean, a nice 100% pop is awesome. And, I hope you can make some nice plays on it. But I'll be honest, it's probably not the play for me, Mike. I hope it keeps going up, but it's so volatile, 100%, and now it's already up to 110%. Like this one's going crazy.
Yep. All right, and then we have Sean saying, what are your guys' thoughts on JP Morgan for the month? Would they rise off of interest rates rising? Yes and no. A lot of it depends on what the market is pricing in. So, for example, right now the market is pricing in a 0.25% interest rate hike. Now, the market's just like pricing it in. Like that's just kind of what everyone is expecting. But normally bank stocks do rise with rising interest rates because it's better for what they do. It's better for the banks and everything that they offer. So to answer your question, it's like yes, generally bank stocks do benefit from rising rates, but it depends on like what's expected. So keep that in mind. He said, what's your thoughts on JP Morgan for the month? For the month, I don't have any projection. I've been eyeing it for the long term. To be honest, I am more confident in setups like Zoom at this level than I am in stocks like JP Morgan. That's just my personal opinion. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but I feel like JP Morgan is still kind of elevated, and I feel like there's a very low probability of interest rates being hiked greater than what the market is expecting. I mean, I think the last time I checked, I think there was only like maybe a 2% chance of rates getting hiked more than the market was expecting this meeting. So it's a very low chance, and I just feel like Zoom's a lot better in some of these other growth plays. Because some of them, like Tom, some of these growth plays are getting so low, it's like they're just bound to pop up, Like some of them are just getting so low, it's just crazy.
Yeah, and especially like in Zoom's case, they're all the way down around that $100 support as well. So you're even getting it at like a huge psychological level, which is nice to see also. But yeah, I mean, I would agree, Mike. I could see JP Morgan maybe just going stagnant or just lagging behind a little bit. I will say though, like I love it at these levels for the long term. Like if I'm looking at shares, I think it'll be, in my opinion, I'll definitely be eyeing up a play here pretty soon. Hopefully we don't fly up too quickly with Powell. Over the next month, it can definitely go anywhere. And one other thing to keep in, Mike, is that for the next month, we're also going to have earnings coming up. So that's going to play a big role as well. And they're paying out a dividend, which, that always, it can always have a little bit of a negative effect. But either way, I hope that JP Morgan perceives what Powell says in a good way and they start going up. For the longer term, like you said, I mean, I think they'll be an awesome pickup. And I will say, I do like the way they're consolidating down here a lot, around 128 to 130. I feel like that as long as the market perceives Powell in a good way, I feel like JP Morgan has a good shot to start to move back up towards 140, possibly even a little bit higher than that. But I'm not expecting anything crazy, Mike. Like you said, JP Morgan, they're still a little bit elevated. If we look at this setup here, hopefully this is a good support. But to be honest, there's a lot of gaps still on the daily chart they could fill to the downside, like at $110 to $100 there. There's a bit of a gap, and I am worried about that. So I am keeping that in the back of my mind. And if I did get in here for the long term, I would only sell a put or just start to average in, because that's going to be the main thing, in my opinion, Mike, is just averaging into this one, because it's already on a bad downtrend. And if the market doesn't perceive Powell right, it could definitely start tanking down even more. And then there's a lot of stuff going on, Mike, in the housing market. What have we been hearing for the past 3 months? Interest rates are starting to go up a little bit more. Housing prices are rising. And I have a feeling that might start to hit banks in some way or another. I know it's hard to, look at every different situation, but I know the housing market's going to play a pretty big role too.
Yep. All right. And then we have Iranical saying Fubo is flying. Tom, I have not looked at this one in quite some time, but yeah, it's up like 8.5%. I'm not a giant fan of Fubo. I know that you talk about it sometimes, but I don't know. It's not really for me.
Yeah, like I'll be honest, I think of it as any other growth stock. I mean, I know Zoom has way better fundamentals, so I'm not comparing it like to Zoom, but like whenever I look at stocks like maybe like DraftKings or just stocks similar to this, I definitely see where some people come from. Like a lot of people argue, if you like these, why wouldn't you like what was the ticker, Mike, again?
Fubo.
Yeah, why wouldn't you like Fubo? I keep thinking Fubar when I hear that. But yeah, I keep thinking that. But yeah, hopefully Fubo does better. They're in that sports streaming sector, which is nice. And to me, they're just like any other growth stock. They're having a lot of issues over the past few months. They're moving down in sympathy with the other growth stocks too. And if we do start to see Zoom, DraftKings, Roblox, Unity, if we start to see all these stocks start to fly back up, I think Fubo has a pretty good shot to go up in sympathy. We've definitely been seeing it the past couple days. And even back there, Mike, on February 24th, we saw a bunch of growth stocks start to fly to the upside that day. For some reason, February 24th was a huge green day out of almost every growth stock. So in my opinion, if you saw that those stocks, like if you have a growth stock that moved up in a nice way on that green day, I think that shows that you'll start to see a lot of sympathy plays out of the rest of the market. And I feel like that's just what Fubo is. Like I feel like it'll be a sympathy play with the other growth stocks. Like you said, it's not my favorite stock either. They have a long way to go fundamentally, and that's my main concern with them, Mike, is those fundamentals need to turn around in a big way.
Yeah. And then my argument to that would be that, let's say you look at Fubo versus DraftKings or Fubo versus Zoom or whatever. What makes Fubo different for me personally is that they're not really a leader in their industry. They are in an extremely competitive industry, the streaming services industry, and like they have competition like Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Hulu.
Yeah, but they're in sports.
Yeah, I know, but okay, you can
but
say
that's way different than those.
Okay, fine. John, you can say ESPN Plus. You can say like all these other streaming services. Like even if you look at ESPN Plus, like it's just like they're not a leader is my point. Like whether you're looking at DraftKings or FanDuel, like Flutter or Zoom, like they are the leaders in their industry. Like yes,
I will say I have been seeing a lot of stuff with Fubo over in Europe. So I don't know if that has something else, maybe a bigger role over there, like with soccer or something like that. But I've definitely been seeing more international news with Fubo than I have been seeing news about it in the US. So maybe that has something to do with it, Mike. But either way though, I mean, it's moving with the growth plays, and if the other ones like Zoom start going up and like DraftKings and stuff, I think Fubo will start to move up as well. Like
Yeah.
you said though, I definitely feel what you mean. They're not a leader by any means, and they do have a lot of competition. They're in a hard sector to be in, and they need some good deals. Like maybe if we see them get some deals with like the NFL or the MLB or something like that, I think it could be maybe more of an option to look at. But I'm with you. They definitely have a lot of diversity to go through. It's going to be tough for them, and I hope that they are on the road to recovery, because man, the stock price has gotten beaten down in a big way, and I know a lot of people have been flocking into this one. But I definitely, Mike, like you said, they are definitely no Netflix, no Amazon, no anything like that. But hopefully they start to get their name out there a little bit more over the next couple of years. That would be the main hope, hopefully.
Yeah, they've been going through a lot of adversity over the past couple months, but yeah, I know what you mean. Another stock I was looking at was Moderna this morning, mRNA. This one is up like 5.5%. It's been on a nice uptrend over the past couple of days. We are back above that $150 resistance, and it's not looking bad. Moderna is also one of those companies that has been struggling a lot over the past couple months, but it looks to be, I guess you could say, bouncing off this support right around like 130, 135.
Yeah, I really hope this one starts going back up. These vaccine stocks have been beaten down. It's not just Moderna. It was also Pfizer at the time. They were kind of beaten down too. So, but yeah, Moderna's been particularly bad. Personally, Mike, I don't like Moderna too much. I think it'll do good. It's just as far as COVID goes, I really feel like that it could obviously get more ramped up again soon. I've been seeing some new stealth variant over in China and stuff like that. So maybe that'll help these vaccine stocks like it did earlier in the week. But I do feel like though that as the COVID and just illnesses in general start to go away, I feel like that Moderna will start to do a little bit worse. And we might have been seeing that reflected in the stock price, but man, to see it drop from 497 down to 156 was a pretty big drop. And, I do feel like that there's like, look at the EPS growth, Mike, like that honestly wasn't too bad. I'll have to eye up their other fundamentals and just to see how exactly they're moving. But I will say they're definitely bouncing off that support in a great way around 130.
Like, what makes me laugh, like, related to the market sometimes is, like in August of 2021, Moderna's at basically $500. Right now it's at like 157. So it's like, did the market just not price in like, hey, do you think that that Moderna's growth will slow down over the years? Like sometimes the market just does like weird things, both to the upside and the downside. But it's just like, was no one thinking that Moderna's growth might slow down a little bit over the coming years? Like, I'm sure Moderna will still do fine fundamentally, but of course they're not going to grow at the same way they grew over the past 2 years, because that would be like impossible almost. Because like they basically went from like nothing to like the top dog, or one of them, in like the vaccine, I guess you can say, craze.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, they were almost like a no-name company like that. But personally, I hadn't heard of Moderna, and it was a pretty crazy stock at the time. Like you said, I mean, look at these candles here. Like, some of these candles were insane. Like, candles that start at like $377, they extend all the way up to like $430 and stuff. Like, that was some pretty insane moves. And, like you said, you had to expect some type of pullback, especially since it was in the COVID sector. Like, obviously, anything with COVID, if restrictions go away, or if people just aren't getting sick as often and stuff, that would definitely affect the stock in a negative way. So I'm with you. People just, sometimes you have to really think outside the box, Mike. And, like at that time, I'm sure people kept saying, hey, Moderna's going to pull a Tesla and go up to 1,000 or something. But, I mean, man, like in the end, how could you even think that? But hey, I guess it's almost just as crazy as thinking AMC would go to 500.
Yeah. All right. And then we have AJ saying, Walmart, let's pop back up. Let's see. Walmart is, it's not really moving too much today. It says Walmart aims to hire 50,000 U.S. workers by the end of April. I saw that on CNBC this morning. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's nice. A lot of times when these growth plays pop up, some of the value plays kind of struggle. So, like Walmart, Procter & Gamble, Verizon, stuff like that. They are much more consistent relative to growth stocks, but they also don't move as much as you would expect. So sometimes when you see growth popping up, expect value to slow down a little bit. But yeah,
we're kind of seeing that today. It's only up. Well, it's actually down in the negative now. Walmart was doing pretty good, but yeah, now it's down 0.14%. I will say, Mike, I do like sometimes trading these safer plays, and I like getting shares and swinging it to the upside sometimes because you can catch it and get some pretty safe exposure and a pretty nice little move. But in the end, like you said, it's just you're not going to see anything too explosive out of a company like this.
Yep. Okay, and then let's see. I'm just doing another scan. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it looks like we have, AMD and NVIDIA still powering higher. Oh, Tom, Boeing is actually popping up on my high ticker. It's actually up 4%, and Boeing is having one of the best days it's had in quite some time.
Yeah, it is. It gapped up in a great way this morning. We might get all the way back up to around 190 today, Mike. I mean, that would make for an awesome move. I know Boeing fell below $200 like a month or two ago, and they've just been selling off in a major, major way. So I hope that we can get back up above there. That would be a very nice level to get back to, given $200. And man, they are really on the uptrend. I know that the airlines over the past few days have been doing very, very well. Like Boeing's up a lot. We have AAL starting to move along with Delta. So in the end, I mean, these airlines are having a great week. And I know that they even reported some great numbers like Delta and American. They said their bookings increased, and then they actually raised their guidance, I believe, with bookings for the next year or two. So, or for the next year. But looking at it, I mean, it's having a nice move, Mike, and keeps going. It's up 4.6% in Delta's case. And with Boeing, I feel like it's a really good dip buy down here on the daily chart. Like, man, you're getting into a stock that deals in commercial aircraft, and also they have a lot of defense stuff going on with a lot of these Boeing F-35 Lightnings and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh, speaking of defense stocks, how are Lockheed Martin, NOC, and Raytheon doing?
They are actually pulling back in a major, major way. And, this is something, Mike, I remember whenever these stocks were flying, we definitely were saying to be a little bit careful with them because, they could end up coming back down, and it looks like it is happening. Lockheed's pulling back in a big way. Northrop is starting to sell off as well, and even General Dynamics is starting to really fall off. So definitely eye these ones up. I feel like they might even be candidates for plays to the downside. I'm not saying to necessarily just hop in right here, but they are definitely falling off with some good momentum, and they're breaking support. So that would be the way I play them right now, Mike, personally, is maybe something to the downside. And if we look at the daily chart, General Dynamics has a long way back down to $220.
Yeah. I remember when the defense stocks were popping up. I know we talked a lot about gold and silver, and those are pulling back too right now, but I still think those are much better investments than the defense stocks right now. Gold and silver, they're very uncorrelated, or they have been very uncorrelated to the market over the past year or so. And that's a good thing. So, while we see gold down 0.4% right now, some days we're going to see these growth stocks up 10% and gold might be up 5%. So it's it just moves by itself. And then still with inflation the way it is, it's you can't really go wrong with, some precious metals, because inflation has been brutal lately, So I'm very happy we said that, even though the prices of gold and silver fell over the past week. I still think relative to a lot of other assets right now, gold and silver are pretty good. And I think that's going to play out pretty well over the coming years.
Yeah, I think so too. And even if we look at a max daily, what did gold do? It ran all the way up to 193 from lows of 167 within just a couple months there, Mike. And we honestly almost double topped up there, right around 194. So it was a pretty good move. We got all the way up to around that all-time high. So I liked it. It had a nice pop there. I know I personally did pretty well on that move up. Hopefully we see it continue. And I know gold and silver are pretty safe, like you said. They have a lot of backing. I know lots of countries own a lot of gold and silver as well. The U.S. and China are some leaders in that. But looking at it, Mike, like you said, I think it'll be safer, especially than the defense plays. I will say I like the defense plays a lot. It's just not at this time. Like, for example, I was loving Lockheed Martin over the past couple of years at that nice support of 325. It had so many bounces there. And then also you could have just been grabbing shares anywhere around 350. But, if you're not getting it at the right time, then I think it's a bad investment. Kind of like what we say with some of the growth plays. But I'll agree. I think GLD is still a pretty good thing to get into here, especially if you're in for the long term. Keep in mind, anything short term can go crazy, especially with Powell talking.
There we go. And then we have Carlos saying, hey guys, Palantir is up 6%. Should I buy bulk or easy in? I would say easy in. It's always good to dollar cost average. While it's up 6.5%, and while that's awesome, the market has just been crazy lately, and especially on Powell Day, you just want to proceed with caution. So I would say easy in. Dollar cost averaging never hurts.
Yeah, definitely proceed with caution today. I mean, who knows? He could speak and the market could just start tanking right back off to the downside. I really hope he says some nice words and he has a good bullish tone, Mike. But in the end, I mean, it's going to be a tough day. Nobody knows which way we're going to truly end up going. Hopefully the market priced in all of the craziness so that we don't see anything too crazy. But I feel like this one, Mike, might get pretty volatile. Whether it's to the upside or the downside, the Fed is finally going to be raising those rates, and it's been a while. So I'm really hoping to see some nice movement, at least to the upside. But look at the SPY, Mike. I mean, over the past 5 minutes, the SPY has started exploding to the upside, and I've been watching a lot of stocks on some separate monitors, Mike, like Disney, starting to really get up there. Like, this is some pretty nice movement. I know we talked about it earlier in the day, and it's really breaking out, Mike. It broke above that resistance this morning. It confirmed off of it for like 20 minutes and is just now exploding. We're almost up to 139 at this point. And I know we talk about Disney a lot, and even like you mentioned, they're in that streaming service with their ESPN Plus and everything like that. So this one would be an awesome dip buy, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know it. And then Oliver said, thanks for the Disney breakout, Mike and Tom. Free day trading on Discord. Let's go. Yeah, Tom actually had an amazing call out with Disney, as he just said. But yeah, Tom's been on fire with those day trading setups.
Yeah, they've been working out so well, and man, it worked out so good this morning. They like double topped at that pre-market high around 136.30, and they really just broke it like right at market open. They popped back above that, consolidated there for a couple minutes, and then had that nice explosion. So yeah, it's been moving well, and I feel like, Mike, that whenever these growth stocks start to go back on the uptrend, not just Disney, I don't really count them as a growth stock, but whenever I look at stuff like DraftKings, if these stocks keep moving up, it's going to make for some awesome day trades to the upside, guys. So be ready for it, because whenever we start to get on a nice uptrend again, I feel like we'll have some really good plays in the works. So definitely be ready.
Tom, I hope you're seeing some of these China plays like Baidu and Queb.
Let's see. Oh my gosh, Baidu up 22%, Mike. It continued up today. Let's see, Baba's about to keep going, but yeah, Baidu's looking so good, and they bounced almost off $100 again with that nice psychological level. So that's a great move, Mike. Look at the way Baidu fell down last week. It's almost recovered all the way back up to that 135 level they were at.
Yeah, you know it. Well, Tom, do you have any final plays you're looking at, or any thoughts heading into Powell Day?
Oh, Powell Day. I really hope that we see the market do good whenever he speaks. It looks like we are definitely running up into the event, which is awesome. But just keep in mind, he could always turn things right back around. One thing to keep in mind is that Powell was making the markets fly up a lot heading into his nomination. Now, towards the beginning of this year or end of last year, he got renominated. And ever since then, he's been more hawkish on the market than he was. So looking at it, I feel like that there is more of a chance for him to make the market go down now than there was a few months ago. But no matter what he says, hopefully the market perceives it in a good way. That would make for some great movement. And I'd love to see SPY, Mike, get up above 436. I think 436 is going to be a huge resistance since we just broke out above 432. And with us running up, it's going to be very tough today, I think, to keep going, because look at how explosive it's been, Mike. And we're already up 2%. Like, what are we going to see? The SPY go up 4 or 5%? I really hope so, but I feel like the chances of it are low.
I hope so too. I really do, but probably not going to happen. But think about it like this, Tom. Like, even if the SPY doesn't, even if the SPY is just steady, let's say it closes up anywhere from 1.5% to 2%, as long as it's just calm and investors are oh yeah, Powell actually really calmed me down, and I think we're going to be all good. I think the market's going to do just fine, and I think the economy's going to do great. These growth stocks should fly up, but we'll see what happens, as always. But before we close out of today's stream, I just want to personally thank everyone for joining. So thank you so much, Keisha, Be Happy, Sean, Hunter, Mike, I'm Fierce, Vicky, Neighbor Jay, George, Sam, Head, 11, Sean, AJ, Carlos, Iranical, and Oliver. Thank you guys so much for joining today's stream. The market is looking great. Hopefully it holds up. And besides that, have a great rest of your day.